So I just thought I would give you like a little mini play-by-play on my first impression so far in Rome. So 1 week has officially passed, and I honestly can't even believe that because it feels like it was just yesterday that I had arrived. So I didn't really do much on my very first day here because I was absolutely exhausted from the flight. So it's an 8-hour flight from Toronto to Rome, and then we had to spend like another hour or 2 hours just to wait for a taxi since there's no Ubers in Italy. That was one of the first things that was like a shock to me. I had no idea that they didn't have Ubers until we got there. So instead we had to wait in a very, very, very long line just to get a taxi. So that took some time. And this entire past week, aside from today and yesterday, it's been scorching hot. It was like 34 degrees. But last night and today, after it had rained a few times, it has finally now cooled down. So I think moving forward, the weather should be a lot better. So I'm really happy about that. So my first impressions of the Airbnb, it's great. I'm gonna show you guys a tour as I'm talking, but the Airbnb host seems really, really nice and very responsive. Although, first impressions though, there were a few amenities that weren't really refreshed or restocked as we arrived, which was a little annoying. So we had to wait like a few days, almost a week, just to get them restocked. But other than that, the actual place is great. Has a dishwasher, it has a washing machine, an espresso machine, but for some reason I thought that there was like a dryer included here, but there isn't. So this is like my first time utilizing like a drying rack with clothespins. Like I've never ever done that before. And I felt a little anxious as I was like pinning the clothes outside because we're like literally on the 3rd floor. Yeah, I'm just kind of scared that the clothespins or the clothes will fall down. But so far I've done like 3 to 4 washes and it's been fine. Yeah, this place has 2 rooms. So Anthony and I are in the big bedroom, and then my friend who is arriving actually in like an hour as I'm recording this is arriving today, and she'll be taking the smaller room. So that's really, really exciting. I haven't seen her in like 7 to 8 years. I met her in my university days, and I think we met like first year of 2nd semester or something like that, and then we've just been keeping in contact ever since. And we haven't seen each other since because she moved to like a different country. We're kind of like meeting closer to where she is. So yeah, I'm excited for that, and I will vlog our little adventures together. But anyways, that's besides the point. Pretty much my first week, we did visit a bunch of things, but not that much. So as you guys may already know, I'm going to be here with my boyfriend for about a month. So this week, we only visited like museums. And I think that's pretty much going to be the main theme or thing of this trip. It's like most of it's just going to be seeing paintings, sculptures, churches. So this week we visited 2 museums, actually 3 museums. Today we went to a gallery, and then we visited 2 churches. So those were like the major things that happened, and I'll be showing you guys some clips of those. And every single museum and church was beautiful. So we went to Palazzo Romano Museum, I think that's what it's called. That was the first one, and I was in love with that one. Actually uploaded a reel during my time there. And then we went to like another one. I forget the name of it, but that one was good. I kind of preferred the overall aesthetic of the first museum, and I felt like the first museum provided a lot more like historical context, but the second one was still really great. And then after, we visited 2 churches. So the first one was a smaller church, but I'm honestly forgetting the names of these churches, so I'll show it somewhere on the side here. But this one was smaller, but it had a lot more historical context than the second one. The second one was larger, and I believe is one of the 4 major churches in Rome. The second one was probably twice as big. I believe there was supposed to be like a rooftop portion of it, but I think that's only included in the tour guide. But regardless, the church was absolutely stunning. Like, I have way too many footage of those churches. But today we went in the Via Corso area. So that area has a lot more exciting things in my opinion. Like, it has the Trevi Fountain, the Pantheon, it has a huge Zara store. Yeah, so we visited the Trevi Fountain today. And the big Zara. We briefly checked out the Pantheon, but I think we're going to try and get tickets and get in, but I will talk more about that in the next vlog. But the real reason why we were in the Via Corso area was because we visited an art gallery there. And what else? The food. Okay, so the food overall, I mean, everyone pretty much tells you that the main foods here are just like pizza and pasta, which is obvious. But the foods near our Airbnb, it's good, but I do think that there are way more highly rated restaurants like away from our Airbnb. So I think we still need to check that out. There were a small handful of restaurants that I just didn't really like, but there are like 2 or 3 restaurants that I have gone to like over 3 to 4 times already that have become my go-to restaurants. But once my friend arrives today, we will be venturing out a little more with the food selection. And overall, the cost of food here isn't terrible. There are a number of restaurants where it is technically cheaper than a lot of the Toronto restaurants. But so far, I mean, maybe it's because I haven't tried out the other amazing restaurants in Rome, but I obviously miss and prefer Toronto food. Like, sometimes I'll wake up and I'm almost getting like a chicken shawarma near my place. Speaking of that, we actually tried like a kebab shawarma type thing that was like only like €5. We only did that because we're trying to limit the amount of times we go out to eat. We'll have breakfast here in our Airbnb and then we'll grab a quick cheap lunch and then go out for dinner. We tried this kebab one and it obviously does not compare to Toronto shawarma, but we just went ahead and tried it anyways. But yeah, I did want to mention like the supermarket stuff too. So I went to about like 2 or 3 different supermarkets so far, and it's obviously like the same kind of supermarkets in Toronto, but I thought it was really interesting that they have no cashiers. So it's all self-checkout. Like, Toronto obviously has self-checkout in their Toronto grocery stores, but they still will have a bunch of cashiers working. But here I think they'll have like one cashier who's kind of like overseeing the self-checkout machines, and you have to actually scan your receipt to get out of the store. So I think that's like a really great way to mitigate shoplifting, and I think Toronto should be doing that as well, but that's one thing that I noticed. And what else? So I've been going to the gym here. It's like the one in the Roma Termini train station, and the membership was honestly very expensive. So we purchased 1 month, and I think it was like €100, which is quite a lot. I actually wanted to check out this other gym. I think it was located in Travastare. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but that one looked like a really nice gym. And I believe it was way cheaper than that. So it was pretty shocking to see that a membership was going to be €100. And if you want to do like a one-time purchase, or one day like session at the gym, that's like 20 to 22 euros or something like that. So that's still like a lot in my opinion. And in terms of the quality, I mean, I wasn't really expecting it to be as good as Toronto's, obviously, but it was decent enough and had enough equipment for me to use. They had this hip thrust section. I was not used to that at all, and I definitely wasn't used to using kilograms instead of pounds. So I had to do some math to convert them. But yeah, I tried my best to work with what they had. Until this day, I'm still getting used to like their equipment and just like the overall environment, but it's getting better. In terms of like transportation, I walked to the gym. I believe the gym is like an 8-minute walk, which isn't bad at all. But every time we go, we do have to walk through the Roma Termini every single time. And it's always so crowded, obviously. And if you were to ask me like one thing that I hate about Rome so far, it's the amount of smoke in the air, like cigarette smoke. Everyone here smokes. I've seen like 12 to 13-year-olds smoking, and they're all just smoking everywhere. And it's very, very prominent around the Roma Termini area because that's where there's a large concentration of people. I try to like hold my breath every single time I walk by them. But overall, my actual experience in Rome has been very pleasant. Since we arrived here when it was really, really hot, so during the first week, I had no idea that Rome was very like eco-friendly. So we found out through our Airbnb host that you're apparently not supposed to put your air conditioning to like under 25 degrees. But I think that's only applicable to public spaces. So this unfortunately includes places like the gym. And so I remember one of the gym days, it was like 34 degrees outside, and there were a lot of people in this gym. It's like pretty much almost packed every time we go. And that one day when it was 34 degrees, it was awful. And I think that was also one of like the deal breakers that Anthony had mentioned with this place. But luckily, I mean, now that the weather is slowly cooling off, it's not terrible. Like the gym is very tolerable. Today, I went on the bus for the first time, and it's very, very similar to the TTC in Toronto, although I actually prefer their buses here. I'm sure I'll be using the bus a lot more often this week when my friend arrives. But from the one trip I had, it was pretty pleasant. And the buses came pretty quick, so I don't really have any complaints with that. As I'm talking about this, I kind of want to make like a separate video on the things that kind of caught me off guard or that I didn't know at all when I first arrived in Italy as like a Toronto girl or as just like a Canadian citizen, because I do have like a list of things that shocked me. Maybe not shocked me, but like just kind of caught me off guard, you know? So I might do that. But overall, I am having a great time so far. I'm already dreading like the cold weather as I go back to Toronto. So I'm just going to enjoy the warm weather while it lasts. Yeah, I believe that's it. So like I said earlier, my friend is going to come today, and pretty much all of my shenanigans with her will be featured in the second vlog. So if you're new here and this is like your first time watching one of my videos, feel free to subscribe to follow along. I will be here for another like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I'll see you guys in the next video.